So I really don't want to film right now, but I know I'm most definitely not going to want to film tomorrow because I have to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be dead tired when I get home, so we're going to suck it up and film now. Hello everybody, my name is Danny and welcome back to my channel and welcome to this installment of Let's Talk Tropes. Now I have a little bit of a scenario for you, so picture this. You are a normal boy of about 16 years old and you live a normal life. You have a family or perhaps a pet, something that you care about and cares for you as well. Your life isn't great, but you're getting by. You have a routine, you know what you have to do to keep going, and you stick to it, and you're having an okay time. Then one day something happens and you are instantaneously bestowed with the greatest magic possible in the world, which might be a world where you knew magic existed or maybe you didn't. Either way, you suddenly have this insane power that you have to figure out, and you are approached by someone who, they might be from the government, they might be from some magical school, could be from some strange organization, doesn't really matter. They come to you and they're like, hey, we know you have this intense magic, so we have a proposition for you. Either you come work with us, or we kill you because you might become evil one day. And you join them, because what else are you gonna do? Now, this may seem like a very specific plot setup, but I was looking at my boyfriend's manga shelf recently and realized that it's very common in shonen manga, which is one of my favorite things to read. I love shonen, which, if you don't know, is a genre of manga that is targeted at middle school age boys. Don't know what that says about me, that's my favorite kind of manga to read, but we're gonna move on. So I can think of 4 different manga that I've read that follows this exact premise. Well, 3 of them. One of them does deviate a little bit, but I still want to talk about it because I think it's very similar. So I'm just going to talk about them in this video. Now, I know that this has to exist outside of manga. It can't just be a manga trope. That's not really a thing. So if you know of any books that have this very specific trope, please let me know. Also, if you do know more manga that has this, let me know, because these are some of my favorite manga, and obviously I enjoy this trope, so I would like to see it more. So the first manga that has this premise of sorts is Demon Slayer by Koyoharu Gotoge. I practiced that for so long and I still almost messed it up. I don't know why I just trip up on that name so badly. But I digress. This follows the story of Tanjiro, a boy of about 16 years old. Actually, he's 14 at the beginning, but there's a lot of training and time skips in the beginning. And he's just a normal boy. His family consists of his mother and 8 siblings, and his father has passed away, but he was a very kind, caring man who took care of his family. And now that he's dead, Tanjiro, as the oldest male, kind of steps up and takes on that man of the house role, and he leaves to go sell coal in the village one day, and when he comes back, his entire family has been murdered except for his sister Nezuko, who has been turned into a demon by the demon that killed the rest of their family, and so he becomes a demon slayer in order to help figure out how to turn his sister back into a human. The Demon Slayers aren't a government organization. They're very specifically not sanctioned by the government, but they're a very large organization, very efficient, very planned out, and he trains under the Water Hashira, which is basically just a sword master who uses water techniques in order to become a better swordsman, a better demon slayer, and to hunt down the man who killed his whole family and turned his sister into a demon. And they end up going on all these adventures together, him and his sister and some friends that they make, And one of the things that they do is meet the head of the whole organization, who is actually the person who convinces the other people in the organization not to kill Tanjiro and his sister because they're demon slayers. They're supposed to kill demons. But he's like, no, we're gonna let them live. If Nezuko slips up and kills a human, we'll kill them both. So that's where this fits into the premise that I've been discussing. I'm not going to say any more about it because I don't want to spoil things. I just want to explain how it fits with this trope, and I feel like this is a very quintessential example of the trope. Next, I want to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen by Gege Akutami. So I have both the prequel and the first volume here because they follow the exact same trope. Like, the two main characters in these two pieces, like, they have the same story, basically. So, basically what happened is the mangaka wrote this first and had it published, and then like a year or so later or whatever, he wrote this, which has several volumes up to this point. I think in English there's been 16 volumes released, and they basically just follow the same story. This is like a prequel set 1 year before the start of this, and then this main character Yuta does come back into this story at some point later on down the line. So I'm just going to explain how they're basically the exact same story. So first off, we have Yuta. He is cursed. In this world, there are what's called curses, which are basically like demons or devils or whatever you want to call them, and they are born of the fears of humanity. So he doesn't know they exist until one day, as a small boy, him and his childhood love Rika are playing, and then Rika gets hit by a car and dies, and she ends up haunting this ring that she gave Yuta and kind of like protects him as he grows up, but also he's absolutely terrified her because she's this really incredibly powerful cursed spirit. And so after some things happen, the existence of Yuta and Rika come to the knowledge about them is brought to the Jujutsu high school in Tokyo, and they're like, we have to kill this cursed spirit because it's hurting people. And then Gojo, who is a teacher there and one of the most powerful Jujutsu sorcerers in the world, is like, how about I take this boy under my wing, and if more bad things happen, we can always kill him and Rika. So you can see how it fits this. Then we get to Yuji. Like, a very similar thing happens. He gets his power a different way, but like after that the setup is exactly the same. So Yuji is just a normal boy. He ends up accidentally eating the finger of Sukuna, who is the king of curses. He's the most powerful curse in the entire world. And so now he's like slightly possessed in that he most of the time has control of his own body, but he can give control over to Sukuna, and sometimes uses that to like take down curses and things of that nature. And he ends up eating more fingers, and more of Sukuna gets taken into him. And so the same thing happens where the people at Jujutsu High are like, hey, we have to kill this boy because he's going to become possessed by Sukuna. And then Gojo's like, haha, what if I take him under my wing and we don't kill him unless we have to? It's the exact same story, and I don't know how Gege Akutami literally just repeated the exact same thing, but he did, and that's the premise of Jujutsu Kaisen for you. The third manga that I want to talk to you about is Chainsaw Man, which I just recently read and absolutely loved. And this follows Denji, a 16-year-old boy. He's extremely impoverished. His father had a large debt to the Yakuza and then died, and so the Yakuza are after Denji for this debt, and he kills devils for them. Devils are very similar to curses, like in Jujutsu Kaisen, where they are born of fears of humanity. So he actually befriends the Chainsaw Devil, which, if you find a good picture, this little guy here, Pochita, he's the Chainsaw Devil, and him and Denji become friends. And then one day, Denji is killed, and Pochita's like, I don't want to see my friend killed, so I'm going to give myself over to be Denji's heart to let him live. And so they kind of fuse as one, and he becomes what's known as a hybrid. That you can see him here on the cover becoming Chainsaw Man, and that's basically him using the power of the Chainsaw Devil. And he is approached by Makima, who is the not the head, but like a higher up in the like police force that is tasked with fighting devils and killing them. And she's like, "Hey, you're gonna work for me, or you're gonna die." And Denji's like, "Okay, I'm gonna work for you, or I'm gonna die." And it's the exact same premise. And I know I'm just repeating myself, but like I just wanted to show you how prevalent this premise is. There's a lot of variables in it with like how these boys get their power and like what type of organization is coming to like get their help and for what reason, but like it's very formulaic, and yet I eat this up. It's so good. And then finally, I don't have a copy to show you because when I read it, I was reading my roommate's copies and we no longer live with that roommate, but I want to talk about Hell's Paradise, which is the one that is kind of different from these. So Hell's Paradise follows Gabimaru, who is a 16-year-old boy. The thing is, he doesn't come into any sort of magical power. So in the world of Hell's Paradise, it's kind of like a feudal Japan where there's ninja and samurai, and Gabimaru is from this like crime syndicate kind of thing, and he's just insanely strong and skilled and like the most feared hitman ever, kind of, even though he's only 16. um, but basically, he was married to his chief's daughter, and the two of them decide they don't want to be villains anymore, and so they're gonna run away. But the chief kind of betrays him and turns him over to the government, and the government is like, we are going to send you on this basically suicide mission. We have word of this magical island with this elixir of eternal life, and we're going to send you and a bunch of other criminals to this island to bring back this elixir of eternal life, and whoever does it will be pardoned. And so that's his whole motivation, is to get back to his wife whom he loves. Again, he's 16, so it's kind of weird, but this is the whole like join us or die aspect. Is he's told, you're going to go on this mission for us or you're going to die, because only one person can get this pardon. So it's a little bit different from the other ones, but still mostly follows this formula. And Hell's Paradise is absolutely amazingly written. It's my favorite manga of all time, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in manga with really good fight scenes and strong character relationships. This isn't a recommendations video, but I really just had to plug this because I love Hell's Paradise. But, yeah, I really don't have a whole ton to say on this. I really just wanted to talk about this trope because I noticed how prevalent it was in this specific genre of manga, and I thought I'd make a little video about it. So once more, please let me know of any other examples for this trope that you may know of, because it has to exist elsewhere. It just has to, and I'm very curious to know about it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!